Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of our Llama podcast. I'm Morelli, and today joining me are the other members of this podcast.
Hi, I'm Alicia.
Hi, I'm Meredith.
I'm Luna.
I'm Ashley.
Today we're going to be talking about beauty standards. I think beauty standards are like expectations set by society or social media or a community in general that forces us to think we have to look or act a certain way. And it can affect both our physical and mental well-being. What do you guys think are some societal beauty standards?
I feel like body hair for like women, like people view it as like negative, but like it's a natural like thing to have, and it's like a beauty standard to not have like hair in your arms or like legs, and I feel like it's really unfair for a woman.
For men, I don't know.
No.
Do you not care about hair?
In some cases, it's better for men to have no hair, like actors, for example. I'm not saying anything else.
But a lot of actors need it for roles.
Interesting.
So another kind of beauty standard I would say is like how physically active you are. It's obvious that you have to work out and exercise. It's good for your health. You look better. But I feel like, for instance, for men, they might take it to an extreme and use like steroids or something. But also, I know a lot of women that just don't like overly muscular men. They like kind of just like an athletic build. And then in contrast to men, like, people don't really like women who are very muscular, especially their upper body. And I feel like that might connect to kind of the past, past and like just traditionally how women are weaker than men. It's more difficult for us to gain muscle mass. But also, I don't know, I just find it disempowering.
I think a big beauty standard is women having small waists but being very curvy. I feel like a lot of men look for like big butt or like big boobs. And I feel like it's just something that has been set on our society and something that affects us as women because we feel pressured to look like this, and if we don't, it kind of brings down our confidence or our egos.
And then going on with that, there's some things that we like just can't control, like our facial features, for instance. I'd say usually a smaller nose looks prettier, or bigger eyes, or thinner face. And then that just resorts to people spending a lot of money to do like surgeries and stuff. And I mean, a lot of people would argue it's fine to do that, like do what you want, it'll make you feel better. But personally, I prefer natural.
Do you ever see it on television? Because my mom constantly talks about how some of the things they do to their face to look prettier just don't end up looking well, and they end up ruining their face instead of helping.
I feel like that happens a lot because when you're putting yourself into like a surgery, there's always the chance that it can come out wrong or like not the way you want it to, and it can just affect your whole look basically.
Or also like overdoing it. Like someone might get
Obsessed.
yeah, like they'll get bigger lips and be like, oh, but they're not big enough yet, and they keep coming back and back. Or they see how their face looks more like societal beauty standards, it looks better, and they're like, oh, well, if that improved, let me try to get another improvement, and they might overdo it.
I feel like beauty standards are also constantly changing. It's kind of like a trend because I think back in the years, more curvier bodies were trending, so a lot of girls, especially celebrities, were getting BBLs. And like an example, the Kardashians, they had BBLs, and then
BBLs?
it's like a Brazilian butt lift. So you add on. So the Kardashians had a BBL, and then when like skinnier body types were trending, they removed their BBL to look skinnier and to fit the current like trend.
I agree. People are constantly like changing their bodies to fit the trend. Like for example, in the Filipino culture, like thin, long nose are like seen as like really good. Like our parents, usually we as a baby we would like pinch our nose to make it more longer instead of flatter. And I feel like it can ruin like mental health. Like when they see like flat noses, we're gonna be thinking like, oh, they're ugly, but longer nose are acceptable. So yeah.
You can also just ruin health in general.
I agree with Ashley. I feel like every culture has different standards. Like me as a Latina, Latinas are seen as like women that have to be curvy and like long black luscious hair and like constantly wearing like makeup, red lipstick, and it's just a standard that has been set on like Latina women over the past years.
And then also another beauty standard I would say is just being skinny, but that could lead to eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, and it's just really harmful.
Yeah, I agree with Alicia. Like skinny is like seen as really the top like physical shape. Like in our Filipino culture, like they body shame like our parents. Like they view it negatively and really like saying like you should stop eating or whatever. Like yeah.
There's also a lot of the shows we watch just weird. Because a lot of the shows we watch are just weird. Because in Rosa de Guadalupe, there's hardly any more darker skinned people. It's mainly just pale Hispanics. Kind of weird.
And also, I feel like in some shows, like animations, or like even dolls that girls get, the bodies are kind of like dysmorphed, that's how you say it. Yeah, and like, it's like not realistic, it's not possible to look like that.
I was looking at a video once, and they were talking about how they animate. You know how in cartoons they sometimes have anthropomorphized animals? Yeah. They're talking about how they animate differently the boys compared to the girls, because usually for the girls they put more like feminine features. Like, you know Looney Tunes?
Oh, yeah.
Daffy Duck is like, doesn't have clothing, and it's just like the normal duck anthropomorphized, and then you have his girlfriend and they put her in clothing and have her have a chest and hair. Yeah. Weird.
And then also, like, going back to that cartoon, I remember, I think it was Space Jam, where, like, every time Lola would go on, it was like, oh my god, she's so pretty, whatever, and there's such a huge emphasis on her looks. When it's, like, a boy going on, it's like, okay, like, no one cares about your looks. It's more about your athletic performance or something like that.
I feel like in society there's like pretty privilege. Like there's like if you're pretty, like you're seen as like really kind.
I agree. I feel like pretty privilege definitely gets you an advantage because someone who is seen as pretty by society will definitely get more like friends, or they'll be seen as like at a higher place than those who are seen as like someone who doesn't fit the beauty standards.
Yeah, I would agree with that also. I feel like, and okay, I don't want to seem egocentric, but from my experience, I get like a lot of looks and people just smiling at me, and it feels like good. But then I see some people who are just like completely ignored, and I don't know. I don't want to say it's because of their looks, but yeah. But I also don't think we should downplay beauty standards on men. Like, I mean, our podcast is just females, so we can't really give as much input on that. But I do feel like height, for instance, plays a big role. Women prefer taller guys, or also like athletic build. I don't know about facial features, because
there's an emphasis on hair, because I remember, because I hear a lot.
Natalie, what do you think about beauty standards?
I feel like I don't really consider beauty standards. I'm just kind of here.
But going back to what Luna was saying, I feel like there is like a little bit of preference, obviously. Like hair, I feel like most girls prefer guys with like curly hair. Not me, but
I think that guys' beauty standards are very muscular. I feel like not a lot of women are attracted to like skinny or scrawny guys, or like guys who are more on the chubbier side. I think that's the standards that are mainly set for men.
I agree with Areli. Like muscular is like the standard for men, but like I feel like in Asian countries, like especially in Japan, they're like beauty standards for men. They're like a little more thinner. Like you see idols, they're like Chinese idols. They're more thin than like what you see in the screen.
I feel like women could be buff too. I feel like a lot of these standards are based on what they think our physical capacities can be, especially because men can be like, they get muscles faster than women. So a lot of like things are like defined by that. They're more defined by what they believe our physical attributes and like our limitations will be. So they kind of like base on these limitations and they just kind of like limit us there. I was actually watching a show, a really nice show, and the woman, they were trying to be a police officer, but a lot of the requirements to be a police officer was straining their body more than they could. Because the men, they could do all the physical requirements quite easy, but when it came to the women, due to the physical requirements being too strainful, they would either fail or get hurt trying. I also feel that men are like told they can be loud. And I feel like, honestly, we should have more of a sense of respect in public environments and not be that loud in general. I feel that we should be more inclusive in these environments because it's not just you here, it's everybody else. And we gotta respect that. Thank you for listening. Love you all.